Hey everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for the Shimmerz Paints design team. Remember, if you place an order, to use my name Jessica for a free gift. So I am prepping some paper here, but just fair warning, I'm actually going to switch this out and use a different piece of patterned paper for my background, but I'm just keeping this in the video so you can see how I prep my paper with my clear gesso using my spatula. This is all I do, and then I'm actually using a couple different collections here today. I'm using a couple collections by Simple Stories today, and then this one by Bella Boulevard called Our Love Song. I'm using a lot of the papers from this one, and then a lot of embellishment from some crafty collections from Simple Stories, but I'll list all these below in the description for you, so you don't have to remember all of that. The colors that I'm going to be using for mixed media today are some glossy in Color Splash. It's actually a newer one from the February kit called Cardinal Sin. And then I'm using Oh Say Can You See, which is also another new one from the August color kit. And it's a Coloringz. And then I'm using some Vibez in a couple different shades as well. I am starting this layout with backing this cut file. This is actually a cut file by Pear Tree Cut Files that I just cut out using some black cardstock and then some of those pretty pattern papers from kind of a mix-up of those collections that I'm using today. I've used that pretty flower paper on the right there in the Y from the Simple Stories collection, and then the other ones from the Bella Boulevard collection. And I just cut them out just manually, nothing crazy going on here. I left this all in the video for you so you could kind of see how I back my cut files manually just by using that negative piece from my cutting mat from the inside of the letter. And then here you can see this is how I do the inside portion of that hole that needs cut out. I just attach the middle using the template of the negative letter and then glue that down. This color here that I'm starting out with, you can see I've swapped my paper out at this point. I'm just using a pattern paper. This one's also from Bella Boulevard, and I prepped it with some gesso first before I started. This color here is that glossy color in that Color Splash Cardinal Sin. And that one was from the, I think I've already mentioned it, the February kit. So if you want that, you have to grab that February color kit to get that one, because I don't think it's separate in the store yet. But that's how you can get that, is from that kit. So I am just applying a bunch of that here to the center. You can see that I've watered down my paper first. That really creates nice movement when you're trying to blend different colors together and get some movement onto your paper. It helps that color just kind of move around. And if you're adding other colors, it does make it a little bit more blendable. I'm just watering down some white gesso here. I like to use white gesso when I'm adding my marbling effect or just trying to break up color and add some white back in. And I use white gesso versus white acrylic paint sometimes because it just seems like it doesn't blend in with the color. It more so sticks out. So I've got that sticker sheet that I'm going to be using on this. This is pretty dry at this point. I skipped through some of this because I don't know, I forgot to turn my camera on. I did end up adding a little bit of blue for just a little pop of blue in there at the bottom. This is dry at this point, and I actually ran this through my laminating machine as well to kind of flatten it out, but I waited until it was pretty dry overnight in order to do that. Normally I'm kind of impatient, but I had some time and I did this over a couple days. So my nails are kind of crazy. I have one nail on my left hand that did not cure for some reason whenever I got them done, and it peeled right off a couple days later. So if you see that, that's why I'm missing half of that nail polish on that one nail, and I have to wait a couple weeks to go back and get it fixed. So you know, it's life, I guess, and that happens sometimes. I ended up cutting out a bunch of circles for this, and I'm just going to use all of these beautiful circles and all the different pattern papers that I used. I ended up running a bunch of circle dies through my manual die cutting machine and just cutting out some different shapes and sizes. Well, not different shapes, but different sizes, I guess. And I am just going to layer these around my mixed media. Yes, I cover a good bit of it up, but I just really like my mixed media sometimes to just kind of peek through and around my embellishments and really kind of just enhance my photo. This is a photo of myself and my sweet friend Stephanie from Louisiana. She actually came up, she flew in from Louisiana to scrapbook with me at a crop. If you guys know me, you know that I'm from Pennsylvania, so that's quite a hoof to get here. So she flew in on an airplane to get to me. This was a photo that we took right before she left, and I was dropping her off at the airport and saying goodbye. So it was a sad moment, but a happy one too, because it was just so wonderful to get to meet her and just to be able to scrap in person. We talk every day. She's one of my best friends, and I just adore her. So we had such a great time, and this was kind of like a bittersweet moment because we were saying goodbye, but yet it was still just so much fun. We had such a great time, and I hope that she can plan to do it again next year, because I, at this point in my life, cannot leave my 3 little ones. They're just so small, and I've got 3 of them. So she's got a couple as well, but her 2 boys are older, and then she's got 1 younger one about the same age as one of mine. So it's a little bit easier, I think, for her to travel at this point in life than for me. So I'm like eternally grateful that she made the trek up, and I hope that she can do it again next year, because we just had such a great time and I enjoyed having her here so much. And I just love this layout. I love how this is coming together. I love these circles and how this mixed media turned out. It kind of turned out looking like cotton candy in the background a little bit. I did some hidden journaling there with my little 3x4 pocket card and just tucked in the top of my photo, so I'll be able to pull that out anytime I want to read that. And I have my cut file here glued down. As you can see, I like to use Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue down any embellishments and things like that, because it'll dry clear. And then I'm going to just pop up some of these smaller little circles, and I love these little flowers and tucking those in there. That's just from that sticker sheet. And then I'm just going to add some of these little epoxy circles that you see on the left there. I'm gluing down my cut file. I'm just careful that I kind of leave that open and accessible for my hidden journaling card there at the top of my photo. And I'm just continuing to just add little bits and pieces at this point. So I've got these adhesive brads. I'm going to add a few of those, and I've got some little die cut pieces, an ephemera, and some flare from Scrap and Happy Studio. You can see that canvas flare at the bottom of my photo there, and I love her flare so much, but I'm just going to add just one of those today. I debated on adding that circular sticker that I was pointing at the beginning of the video. I didn't actually include it in this layout. I thought I have enough circles going on here. I'm just going to add a few more small ones and then kind of call it a day with those. I love these little foam stickers. I ended up using, I think I used something from that, I use a word phrase from that. But at this point, I'm just adding some more little bits and pieces. I love adding just a ton of little things to my layouts and little embellishments just to enhance and add a little bit more pop of color here and there. I'm also going to end up grabbing some thread from my stash and just pull pieces of that and bundle it up and just kind of stuff it in areas on this layout. Again, just for some added little pops of color and texture. And then I've got this here. I've popped it up using some 3D foam squares. I like to use the Gina K ones. They're my favorite. And yeah, just adding little bits and pieces. I've got this little ditty here that I cut out of one of the pocket cards. I'm going to end up using that for my date stamp here. As you can see, I've got the Paige Evans roller date stamp that still has lots of years left on it. So I'm glad that I can still use that on my layouts because it's my favorite one. And I've got my little word phrase here I'm going to add. I kicked around where to add that because I was like, do I want it up here? Do I want it down here? I ended up adding it right down here. And then I'm going to add some more flowers on here. I love these little die cut pieces from this Simple Stories collection. It's so cute. And I love all of these little crafty bits. It's just perfect. I have another layout that I really want to do with some crop photos from this crop we went to with the little Stanley cup in this collection. There's a couple die cuts of it and some stickers. And I really want to do a layout because I took a photo of Stephanie and I's cups at the crop. She has a really super cute cup, and I took some photos of them side by side, so I'm going to scrap that as well at some point here. I added some word phrases from that sticker sheet as well, and just gluing down the rest of my embellishments. I ended up cutting out a few more little circles. Sometimes I like to put the same patterns right next to each other. I don't know why, but I just feel like it adds a little bit more balance to the layout sometimes. So that's what I'm going to end up doing here with that circle. And I just loved that little black and white kind of grid design. So I really wanted to add a few more of those in here, and some more of these little adhesive brads. I like them because they're just sticky on the back. You don't have to worry about poking them through your paper or anything. These are the little epoxy little stickers that come with that collection. They're really sparkly and cute. And I just love that mixed media, how it pokes through. I'm just finishing this up, adding a few more things, and then I'm going to show you the finished layout here in a second. Again, if you guys do end up placing an order for mixed media supplies from Shimmerz Paints for all your mixed media goodness, make sure you put my name, Jessica, in the notes section of your order, and they'll send you a free gift along with that order. And it's always a really good gift too. So I always get something that I don't have. I don't know how they do that, but somehow they manage to send me one that I don't already have, which is really great. And I get to try out those new products. So I'm just going to add a few more things. Here's that thread coming in at this point. I'm just going to kind of tuck this in. I just like to get a nice sized piece and then just kind of curl it up, let it fall into my hand, and it creates this nice little kind of circular design, and you just kind of stuff it in behind your embellishments, and it just adds a nice little pop of color if you're using colored thread or texture in my case, because I'm just using like a grayish charcoal color, and I just love it. I love the way that it looks, and I love the texture that it adds to the layouts, and it's just a little extra little pop of something that you can add, and it's just simple, easy, and fast. So here's the finished layout. I just love how this one came together with my sweet friend Stephanie, and I'm so happy that she came up for the crop, and she's one of my best friends. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.